Hello, happy Sunday. Happy week 2 of Clearursh. I hope you all are having a lovely June so far. We are about to enter into our last full week of school before summer break begins, which is exciting and terrifying. I am so happy that school year is almost over and that I'll be able to delete the school app for a couple of months and not get text notifications every day. However, I don't know how vlogging during the summer is going to go. I don't remember how it went last summer, so we'll see how it goes this summer, but hopefully I can get lots of good reading in this week before I have to totally reshuffle how my reading life goes. But more importantly, starting week 2, Clearursh, and starting with prompt 3, I will link the creator's website down below. I will also link week 1's vlog down below, so if you want to go check that out, you can. Week 1 was fantastic. I loved it so much. I read 2 of the best books. One of them is a favorite of the year, probably, and the other one I had a really, really good time with. So hopefully week 2 can live up to the very big shoes of week 1. Anyways, prompt 3 is read a book with a white or sparkly cover, and as you saw from the b-roll, I started The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah, which is both white and I don't know if that shimmer is showing up, but it's got a little bit of a shimmer on the cover. And I'm about 100 pages in, and we've just gotten to the plot of this book. So far we're following Luli, who is a criminal, a con artist, and she has a djinn bodyguard, whose name I definitely just forgot. And Luli saves the life of this prince, Mazen, and then the Sultan blackmails her into finding this ancient lamp. And I'm wondering if this is an Aladdin retelling, but there's also been references to like the 40 Thieves from Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, and I had a little bit of like a Shahrazad, like very brief mention, not even like Shahrazad by name, but just like the conceit of that story, like how that is set up, like that was kind of briefly alluded to. So I don't know if Chelsea Abdullah is just like throwing in all the like fairy tale type stories that relate to desert fantasy, or like we're doing a specific retelling of one of those stories. I need to do a Google and see. I am having a little bit of a hard time getting into it. It's better now, but the first 25-30 pages, my brain was bouncing off of it a little bit. I also may have erred a little bit because I did just finish rereading The City of Brass for like the 50 millionth time, and I feel like we have a lot, not too many similarities, but you know, Luli is a con artist, Nari is a con artist, there's a djinn who's protecting Luli, we have a djinn who's kind of protecting Nari, there's a prince in this one that she has a contentious relationship with at the beginning. There's a prince in The City of Brass that Nari has a contentious relationship with in the beginning. I don't know. There's a lot of similarities, and I feel like even though they're both debuts, I feel like Chakraborty's writing is stronger in City of Brass than so far Chelsea Abdullah's writing is in this one. So hopefully reading these two back to back isn't a detriment for my enjoyment of this one. We'll see. And then the third prompt is to read a book with drama. And so I'm going to use that prompt to read The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, which, why am I reading this? I mean, I want to read it, obviously. I feel like this was a book club pick. Oh, this was my pick. This is also my pick for this month for the Betty Pages Challenge Your Shelf reading challenge. So yeah, and I've wanted to read this for a long time. So this is the little clear your shit TBR for the week. Glad I'm mixing it up and adding a horror, because I feel like if I did a fourth fantasy, it might be too much fantasy. I am continuing to do what I complained about last week, where I am reading too many books, but apparently I have zero willpower and I just keep starting books. I'm finishing them too, but I also am reading more books at a time than I really want to be reading, but I'm also not capable of stopping myself from starting new books right now. So I'm going to try and lean into it and not obsess over doing something different when clearly my brain wants a lot of options right now. So I'm just going to try to like lean into it and embrace it. Yeah, thanks for joining me, and I'll come back maybe when I'm like halfway through. Hello friends, it's Monday. Happy Monday. And I read another 30 pages of Stardust Thief this morning, and I'm sad to say, but I'm kind of bored, which I don't feel good about being bored. It's not the vibe I was looking for. Just a minute, let's go find my book. Okay, I got it. Wow, it's really bright. It's really bright in my room. Yeah, so I lied. I actually got another 50 pages into this book, and I'm kind of bored. Like, sorry, we're just now going out on like the quest, so like that's a long time to take to get like your major plot point going, and I'm not super sorry. Are you guys getting motion sickness? I'm so sorry. I'm not super attached to any of these characters yet, and on the one hand, I'm like, God, I should just DNF because, you know, that was my goal this year, was to DNF when I wasn't having a good time, and I'm not really having a good time. But also, I used one of my precious LibreFM credits to get this audiobook. And also, one of my favorite narrators, Nikki Musad, does Luli's point of view, and I love her. Like, she's legitimate. I would listen to her do anything. To listen to her read anything, which is part of the reason why I'm wanting to push through, is because I really love her sections of it, but I'm also kind of bored. So I don't know. There's part of me that's like, well, let's get to give it to page 200, which will be like roughly 50% of the way through. But I am also afraid if I keep pushing, then I'll just not read because I won't want to pick it up. I don't know what to do, but I just thought I'd share that I'm kind of bored, so we'll see. Hello all, I have some good news and I have bad news. Let's do the bad news first. I finished The Stardust Thief and I'm giving it a 3. I don't wish I DNF'd it. Like, it was fine to listen to an audio. It wasn't, like, it didn't hurt my feelings, but it did not do its job of keeping my attention. I don't know. I just wasn't into it. Which is a bummer, because I really thought I would absolutely love this book because the cover's so pretty. I really like desert fantasy. Like, it has all these aspects that I really love. And I'm not sure if reading City of Brass right before, unintentionally, like, hurt how I felt about this book, or if it wouldn't have mattered either way, because this just wasn't, like, the writing never sucked me in. I always felt a little removed from it, even though there's like a lot of stuff going on. Like, there's a lot of action, especially like, I mean, don't get me wrong, we take a long time to get going. We take like the first, was it 100 or 150 pages to get to like what the back says the plot is, and that's a long time. But once we got going, there was a lot of action, and it was like one thing after another, boom, 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 boom. But I just never cared about the characters enough to really get sucked into this and invested the way I wanted to. But I think it's one of those books where it's like your mileage may vary. Like, I could see this being a really easy book to love and to get sucked into. It just didn't do it for me. So that's kind of a bummer. But I did finish it. Like I said, 3 stars. Didn't hurt my feelings, but it just didn't suck me in the way I hoped it would. And now the good news, which I gotta grab that book because it's under your tripod right now, so just a moment. Okay, we traded out one book for the other. The good news is I have also started The Only Good Indians, and I am 85 pages in, and I'm really liking it. It took me a little bit to get into it. Stephen Graham Jones's writing is sometimes tricky for my brain to settle into, and it took me a little bit to settle in this time. I spent a good part of this first bit being like, what is going on? What is happening? Because sometimes his writing can be fragmented and not stream of consciousness, but almost to the point where he can be kind of hard to follow. And I do find when his writing is like that it's easier for me to follow along on an audiobook, because hearing it makes more sense than reading it does. I don't know if anybody else ever experiences that. So I did caved and I resubscribed to Scribd, Everand, whatever we're calling it, for a month so I could get this on audio, because $11.99 for a month of Scribd is cheaper than trying to buy it through Libro.fm. And I have my Libro.fm account paused right now because I had like 3 credits and haven't been using them, so I don't need to keep getting a credit every month. And yes, I could have used a credit on an audiobook, but I don't reread horror, so it doesn't make sense to spend an audiobook credit on a horror audiobook. I don't know what to tell you. That's just how my logic works. Anyways, I have the audio, and this one's pretty creepy, but we're following 4 men who grew up on a reservation together, and there is a hunting incident when they are all, I don't know if it says how old they are, like early 20s maybe, but there's an incident when they're hunting, and it's now 10 years later, and one of them has died, and there is stuff that is now happening with another one of the men. It's so hard to talk about this book without potentially spoiling something. So anyways, that's where I am. I'm really liking it. My husband has already read it, and he has told me that it does get creepy. I'm primarily reading it at bedtime. That'll probably change because I'm sure it's going to start to creep me out, and then it will no longer be a bedtime book. Right, Puzzle? So judgy today. She wants me to feed her, but it's not even 1 o'clock. She's fine. She's fine. She's just old and she just wants to eat all the time. Anyways, that's not what you're here for. So this is going great. Having a good time, and I don't know when I'll finish this. I bet I'll finish this by Saturday. But I'll come back and let you know when I have, and hopefully it's a 5-star. And hopefully Stephen Graham Jones doesn't scare the you-know-what out of me. Okay, this clip is 7 minutes, and for what? Alright, I finished it sooner than anticipated. It's only Thursday, but I finished The Only Good Indians, and what the fuck? This book was so dark and messed up and really good. Like in typical Stephen Graham Jones, like his books are dark, but I like them a lot. I think his writing is just not like anybody else's that I can think of off the top of my head. Part of that might be just that I haven't read a ton of horror yet comparatively, but also just might be that he's like got a really unique voice, which I think is probably the case. Yeah, this is dark and creepy, and I guess technically not a slasher, but is super violent and gruesome and gory, and I can't really tell you a whole lot of other things because I think part of the magic of this book is that you don't really know what to expect going into it because the synopsis on the flap gives you nothing. But I think knowing too much would probably lessen the reading experience. I will say, if animal violence and death of animals is something that is a big trigger for you, definitely steer clear of this, because there are a lot of animals that die and die in really violent, gruesome ways. What I will tell you is about 4 friends who, like I said, I think in an earlier clip, had a incident while hunting 10 years in the past, and we are catching up to them. Well, the prologue, you get one of them before it's been 10 years, and you get that scene, and then you go a full 10 years, almost to the day later, and it's a revenge book. It's about vengeance, retribution. I don't really know what else to say about it because it just will give everything away, but I'm giving it 4 stars. I didn't love it the same way that I love the Indian Lake trilogy, but I will say there is a character in here that gives Jade Daniels energy. So with that, we're at the end of this week's episode for Clearursh. Not as successful as last week, sadly, since I had a 3-star. Did I give it 3 or did I give it 2.5? I think I gave it 3. And a 4-star. So not all-time favorites. Mom? What? So yeah, not super successful, but 2 books that have been on my TBR for quite a long time. So it does feel good to get those crossed off my list. I will, of course, continue to read Stephen Graham Jones. I know he has a very lengthy backlist and I'm interested to read more. I would really like to read Mongrels next, I think. I'm really interested in that one. And sadly, I am not going to be continuing on with this series, and I'll probably be unhauling this book after I do my June wrap-up. So that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. If you would like to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's do some sort of star sparkle emoji. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Bye!